All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Me here, talking about real music in real time for real people, just like you right there, and just like me right here. So the two-hit wonder boy is back, D. Snider, and he's telling us what we need to do with our life again. The guy who went before Congress back in the day to basically lobby for freedom of speech, freedom of filth, because that's what it was. But I get it. I agree, by the way, with his stance. I agreed with what he was saying back in those days. He was going up against the establishment. D. Snider taking on Tipper Gore. I'm sure you remember that moment in time if you grew up in that era. He testified before Congress, dressed up like D. Snider, and, showed up, and it was fantastic. It was really enjoyable. So I commend D for going up and defending free speech. That was like, I don't know, a very long time ago. Now, a lot of these rock stars now are coming forward. Ricky Rocket did this a couple weeks ago and said, hey, I went to CVS twice and did the thing. And hey, man, I still got it. I still got it anyway. So Snider went public and blamed Disney because he took his kids to Disney, and he's complaining because no one checks, no one does any testing. Really? You're going to do tests? You're going to go to the theme park and get tested? Excuse me, before you can go out, I would just turn around, go home. I'd be like, first, he's complaining that you don't have to wrap your face in cellophane, okay? Or put, a blanket over your face. Because, here's the thing. When you're going on one of these rides, a lot of these rides, they tend to be a bit scary, and you might be gasping for air. You might be screaming. So what is better than putting something on your face, right, to obstruct the fact that you can't get enough air? I mean, you've already got people who are puking, who quite honestly are dizzy or walking around looking as though they need to sit down or lie down or maybe go see a medic, right? But you're going to increase that probability, and you're going to mandate that somebody does this at a theme park. First of all, if I'm going to do anything fun, I don't want any restrictions to my fun. But here's how his thinking is just, again, and we're going with no one checks to see if you went to CVS twice or Walgreens or the free place down the road at the supermarket or the pop-up stand on the side of the road that's got big letters on it saying, please, you need to do this now. No one checks. Ooh, and no one does tests. No one does the whole, hey, can I see your papers, please? Papers, please. They have no enforcement. Zero, according to D. Disneyland does not require any of these things. They are encouraged for those who haven't gone to CVS twice. They're not verifying your papers, and it's up to the guest whether or not they want to wrap their head in cellophane. So he took his dissatisfaction out on Disney 2 days ago. So here, let's examine this a little bit. So you've had employees lose their jobs, right? And things get shut down because there's a panic and there's chaos. And then they're not D. Sniders, so they're not rich and they don't have disposable income. Some people may actually have to work in order to earn money. I don't know, just a thing, I guess, right? Some people have to work. So it's really great to start throwing shade at Disney when Disney probably just reopened at full capacity and without restrictions, and people are enjoying themselves again. And holy crap, Batman, you don't want people enjoying themselves at Disneyland, right? So he apparently took to Twitter, did something. At the park, they're doing nothing, he puts in capital letters, to enforce or protect people. Let me just chime in here. Has any of this worked so far? Has any of it worked? So I don't think Disney, first of all, you're outside, right? And you're getting, the sun is hitting you. You've got fresh air. And I get it. You're sometimes in close proximity to other people. I was told the other day at a theme park where I live in Florida that people were giving up because the lines were so long, because they have all of these protocols in place, which increases the amount of time it takes for people to get in and to actually get to the actual rides. And by the time they get there, there's a line that's too long to wait in. I'm hoping they give people their money back. So Snider, Snider, the guy who is the free speech advocate back, and by the way, if you speak out against this, you're shut down. You're shut down. So why was free speech okay, D, back in the day, but now it's not okay? Well, it's a life and death situation now. According to who? According to what? I mean, again, I don't want to get into statistics. You can do your own research on this. It would mean you'd have to turn off the regular TV for a little while, okay? And maybe go off the grid a little bit and do your own research. Or you could maybe talk to a few doctors, because not all doctors are in agreement. They have different opinions. You know that little thing about getting a second opinion? It's a good idea. So he was all for having your papers ready when you went to a concert. And he's all for this when it comes to going to the theme park. He just wants to have his card, he says, so he can wave it around like a little flag and show people and virtue signal how great he is. But yet, ironically, he's been to Walgreens twice and he's still got the thing. He's still got the thing, okay? And it's incredible. Now, he's claiming, of course, well, you know, but you're, at least I'm not going to the, okay, so you're not going to the hospital, according to you, and you're not that sick. So what's the big deal? So he doesn't want to hang out with anybody who doesn't want to do what he did, all right? And I don't know, quite honestly, at the end of this conversation here, I don't know. Like, we needed another thing to divide the country and the world, for that matter. We needed another thing. Here's a guy who stuck up for free speech back in the early 90s, I think it was, late 80s, early 90s. And I just, it's, for the life of me, I can't understand. These people are the most fearful, and they're the most unhinged and the most self-righteous and the least researched people on the planet. In other words, they don't do any research. They're spoon-fed this garbage 24 hours a day, and they just embrace it and they love it. And then they make you feel like crap if you don't think like they do. This is the opposite of what D. Snider was 30 years ago. So anyway, you know, maybe don't take your medical advice from a guy who puts on makeup and had a couple of hit songs and thinks, you know, he's like the greatest thing that heavy metal ever got, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But, you know, I'm getting tired of this crap. I'm just, I mean, I've ignored it. You know how many stories I could do over here on this a day? I mean, again, people either like it or they hate it. Last couple of days, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. I've got new patrons, by the way. If you do want to ask me a question, get on over to Patreon. It's $1 a month. Keep in mind, I'm actually starting to get backed up with comments. And if I don't get to you right away, don't feel offended, because I got to do videos and there's a few other things I do other than just this particular channel. So, yeah. Anyway, don't go to Disney. You know what? I wouldn't go to Disney anyway right now. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't. There are a lot of people that I know are just starting to not like people. Find the people that you care about the most and hang with them. All right. And yeah, maybe you can't have amusement park style fun, but I'm sure you can figure something out. I mean, as soon as these corporations understand that not everybody is going to do what they want us to do, because they're not, by the way, corporations are not the government. You did not elect anybody at Disney. You did not elect the guy who sings in Twisted Sister, or used to. Those are my opinions. They're my own opinions. You don't have to agree with me. By the way, if you don't like what I'm saying, you don't have to watch the channel. Have a great day.